Yo, what's up guys? Fireheart318 here with another KSP video. This time it's gonna be an air race, a time trial series actually, where I get various planes of my and others' designs and race them on various Kerbin-Side and actually other players' air races too. In this particular plane is the Jaunt 2, a passenger VTOL that I created. It's, well, pretty much just that. It can't really go faster than the speed of sound, or at least not by much, but what it lacks in speed, it makes up for in maneuverability. It has twin reaction wheels plus the cockpit reaction wheels, a single Weasley engine with almost a 1.0 thrust to weight ratio, although that's that's not exactly coming into effect here because, I don't know, some mod conflict or something. I'm gonna try and figure that out eventually. Anyway, we are approaching the starting line and the start of the race. Roughly 1 minute and 29 seconds in. Sorry about that noise, my mom just got back from shopping. Approaching the first checkpoint, I'm gonna try and take a bit of a wide line here, and I'm actually gonna turn the main engines, the engine bay's VTOL engines, back on for a little extra maneuverability, as I don't really need to worry about fuel efficiency here. Approaching the next checkpoint, I'm gonna take a bit of a high to low line, and hopefully line up with the next one. Those little vessels there are turrets for, I don't actually remember, some form of BDA thing. So I'm taking a bit of a high to low line here, and it doesn't actually matter if I go through the checkpoints, it doesn't really matter if I go through them, as long as if I was lower, I would go through. Like, if I overshoot height-wise, it's fine, but I have to pass through the checkpoints or it won't count. Jeb's having a really fun time, as always. Oh, this is gonna be close. Okay, that was... Okay, so I'm reopening the engine bays just to help stabilize myself. I sort of lost control of it, sort of didn't. I've been having a bit of a physics issue lately as well that I just can't figure out. Planes just are really twitchy. Actually, on second thought, no, it's not a good idea to turn those engines off. Well, I will now, since I don't really need them. I think this plane gets better thrust if it's lower. So I'm gonna go just above the water. Nope, this thing will not break the sound barrier. So, if you're subscribed to Failrace or have seen any of his videos, you'll probably know about his time trials. This is a lot like that, except it's with planes! Careful. Almost hit the water there. Anyway, it's a time trial race, except it's planes. And you guys can submit this, I'll leave the instructions in the description, but basically I'm gonna make an email, and you just submit the craft through there using Kerbal X. Or maybe I'll just make a Kerbal X hangar, I don't actually know, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn the VTOL engines on again, but not open the bays just yet. I'm gonna use these to make tighter turns with higher efficiency, and just get going in a straight line faster. So I'm just gonna increase my altitude here, roll, and engine bays open, and that is definitely faster than it would have been, and I turned the wrong thing off, careful, okay. Turned SAS instead of RCS off. Gonna gain a little more altitude here, and then angle down. The VTOL engines are still on, and I'll use those to help maneuver. Just roll right, and then pitch up again. Maybe I should have changed up the action groups to where it would be only half the engines on 2 and the other half on 3. I'm not quite sure. Just for maneuverability and stuff, if I don't need all that power. Also, they should have a way to make it symmetry, and then, it's hard to explain, but you should be able to change symmetry in the VAB, so it's like, let's say you have 4 engine pods on the side of your rocket, all in ×4 symmetry. You should be able to do ×2 symmetry to only affect, 2 of the engine pods. That doesn't really come into play here, it's just something I've been wanting to mention for a long time, but it never really came up. Okay, so actually I'm going to leave those engines on to use more fuel, even though I won't need it here. That will make the plane lighter and increase thrust-to-weight ratio, and just make everything faster. Actually, I should angle a little. I'm using the engines to push myself over to the side a little, just because it's more efficient than using the control surfaces in this case. I do need to pitch up. Now it's just a straight shoot to the finish, and I love VTOL contrails. Oh, and all the craft files, whether they're mine or others, will be linked down in the description for you to download afterwards. Now I should figure out a way to get Scott Manley's race in here, and ending at about 5:29. Okay, I think that's about a 4-minute lap time, which is pretty good for my first run of the day. Just gonna go ahead and land this and see you later. Well, see you in the next one. And I'm back. This time I'm in the FA02 Counter by XL Jedi, which he said most people refer to it as the Count, K-O-U-N-T. It's a relatively super maneuverable fighter, and I've noticed that the engines are on their own individual instances. They're not, they don't have symmetry enabled, which allows you to do stuff like this, and this, and just turn them off and on whenever you want. Now, the stock one, the normal one, just has the afterburners on the 1 and 2 action groups, but I've set that to RCS just because that's what I'm more comfortable with. I've instead put toggle engine there. Anyway, it's really fast, I'm noticing, and what's gonna happen when I make this turn? Nothing apparent. Okay. Well, I got this. Yeah, I'm gonna restart that. And we have crossed the starting line at 38 seconds. Entering the first turn, I'm taking a bit of a wide route line. Jeez, failing horribly. I'm taking a bit of a wide line through everything just so stuff like that doesn't happen and I lose all my speed. It may have been hard to tell on your end, but the plane just overshoots. It just oversteers, really. It's not exactly it's not a good thing to do unless you actually want to. It's almost a Cobra maneuver, except it's not, and I just remembered I can enable fine controls with caps lock. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to have done much, but I got it back under control without losing much time. So I'll just keep on going. Jeb seems to have liked it, though. Now, I am not positioned well for this, but I'm gonna go with it anyway, cause I think turning at this point would just ruin it. Just totally fail. Spin out, or just fail in general. Oh crap. This is a really rowdy plane, as most things seem to be now. I really need to figure out what's causing this physics bug, cause stuff is really starting to get annoying. Planes that fly perfectly on my laptop don't fly at all here. Like, one of the planes I was gonna fly was the Leopard 1. It's a twin-engine fighter, a bit like the Count, actually, and it just would not behave at all. It would spin out like this one and stall for no apparent reason. It was just unbearable. But this one seems to be much more tame compared. And we're almost at Mach 2, which could be a bit of a problem when turning, so afterburners off, and only one engine's power. I think that's the wrong one. Okay, there. Oh, this could be bad. Turning. Okay, this is actually happening. I'm flying with one wing. Oh crap. Screw it, I'm going for it. If it flies like this, I'm gonna be surprised, but it seems to be working so far. Definite props to Jedi here for making it able to fly with one wing. That's extremely hard to do unless it just has one wing to start with, which not a lot of planes do. It's getting harder though. Okay, I guess I'm in a knife. Yeah, I'm just gonna shut up and let it do its thing. Crap. Oh, I'll turn on auto strut for the wings. Just remembered that's a thing. Auto strut. Heaviest part, and heaviest part. And I am well aware the gear is down. I'm gonna be pulling that up any second now. It's just to burn a little extra fuel before the start, because it doesn't need all the fuel in the first place. Okay, this should be much easier to fly now. I'm actually gonna transfer some of the fuel to the front though. Oh, and I should really start aligning for that. Okay. Well, now once I get a break, I'll be able to transfer the fuel. This plane does not like me at all. So just gonna transfer it into the NCS adapter. And why is there electric charge in the NCS adapter? Weird. I guess it's KSP Interstellar Extended, but I don't really know. It's weird. Okay, just leveling out, and I just realized there's that sneaky checkpoint over there. Just bind control on, because it's a lot easier to fly this particular plane with that. Going into night flight to try to lose some altitude without decreasing speed, but that's not working, and I'm gonna have to pull up upside down. Okay, just carefully. Whoa, 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 whoa. Fine controls off. Okay. This really is a rowdy plane, but I am not giving up. I expect I'll be able to finish it in at least this run, if not the next one. This could be the screenshot. Do you think I take too many screenshots? I mean, I think I take too many. Now, I haven't really changed anything about the plane besides, like, toggleable settings, auto strut, action group, stuff like that. And it's kinda hard to fly, but I can see why it would be a good thing in a dogfight, just not an air race. I feel like I've torn it apart a little, and that is not my intention at all. But I'm gonna get a little over to the side, the wide side, and bank hard. I'm playing to this plane's advantages. Why is there a light there? Landing gear do have their own lights. See? And wow, how did something get all the way up there? Hold on, I gotta check that out. Wow, landing gear are crazy in this game. They just love to fly to space. Their landing gear, they should stay on the plane. And I can't seem to find Jeb. Guess he splashed down. Let's see how high this gets. Okay, 9684. Gonna go back to the hangar and just auto strut, rigid attachment, everything. See you in a sec. And I'm back. In addition to auto strutting everything and adding rigid attachment, I've also gotten rid of that redundant landing light and the antenna that appeared to be holding it on. I'm not entirely sure what they were for, but I've done that, and I've also decreased the gimbal limit on the engines to try and make it a little less twitchy. It feels like it's worked, but it also hasn't. And just approaching the second checkpoint, I'm gonna pitch down any second just to get a little more speed, and I'm not quite gonna turn yet. I'm gonna try and take a long sweeping turn with, what's it called? dampen precise controls on. So finally starting that turn, I really don't want to lose control of this plane, because it likes to tear itself apart. And I am lined up for the next 3 or 4 checkpoints. It's kind of hard to tell, and I don't actually think these, I'm just gonna call them cones. I don't think the cones are actually there. I think they don't have collision meshes, colliders, or whatever they're called. In other words, just gonna move my mouse off to the side. I know that annoys some people. It annoys me, for crying out loud. It said go off to the side. Okay, there. Just pitching down a little and rolling to the left to just realign myself. I like to think of it as a ball on a table. You can tilt the table to the side and the ball rolls a little, unless the table is perfectly level. Or, in this case, more or less level. Holy crap, please stop exploding. Tab, get out. Oh, I also got rid of the ladder. Don't know how I survived that, but I did. And he just came up like a dolphin. And I think he's dead. Nope. And we have literally passed through the first checkpoint. I mean, starting line. Just angling, and it's twitchy and out of control. Okay, back in control finally. So, I feel like I should talk about this just so it's not redundant what the plane's doing constantly. I'm getting a new keyboard today. It's the Corsair K95 Platinum. It's a chroma keyboard and it should hopefully speed up response times as well. It just looks really great and I've wanted it for a long time, and I finally got enough money together to buy it, and it should be arriving, actually, it's about noon. Any second now, or minute, hour, really small unit at a time. And just angling for the next. It should also be a lot quieter, so right now you can hear my keyboard just really loud, and let's hit some random keys. Yep, it's pretty loud, and I hope that didn't mess anything up. I tried not to hit any of the movement keys, Q, W, E, A, S, D, X, you know, any of those. And slightly over, but that still counts. Overhead is fine, to the side is not. Just angling more, and precise. Yeah, fine controls are on. Oh, I should hit numlock so I don't disable my recording. Okay, so I am gonna deploy the air brake now. This seems to be where I'm getting caught out, so I'm just gonna let the air brake do the turning for me until it doesn't. Okay. This is not the ideal lap time or line or anything, but it seems to be the best I can do. I do have a few more planes for this, but this episode may or may not be long. We'll have to see. So, just enjoy the ride. This thing is, like, I don't understand what it is with planes now, but they just don't want to handle. Like, it's either too soft on the controls, or it's just Cobra maneuver instantly. Just freak out. It just does not work for me. I really have to figure out what's going on. Does KSP Interstellar mess with physics? Because that's really the only thing I think could be doing that. Except it's probably not. Like, it's a mystery. Complete mystery. So finally approaching the finish line after I think like 5 or 6 runs. Some of those I didn't record. So just diving down. It doesn't matter if we crash as long as we cross the finish line. And now pulling up, and yeah, I got massively exploded. How does this work without SAS? About how it does now. Okay. And I'm back with one last plane, the Kestrel by Valk, V-A-L-K. Sorry if I mispronounced that, I'm not exactly good with names. It's, well, I've noticed a few things while in the VAB, spaceplane hangar, and it seems to be built by someone who's not necessarily experienced in planes, or, well, that's not a bad thing per se, but the eventual center of mass, which is what the center of mass will be after all the fuel is drained, is going to be behind the center of lift, which will be quite an unstable quite unstable flight. Also, if you look at the trailing part of the wings, they're not exactly that stable. There's an easy fix for that, which is just add auto strut. Also, there's a bit of clipping issues, which it's a bit hard to see from here. I'll turn the camera as soon as I can, but like this, the front fuel tank is what is it? A long Mark II 1 adapter, which means, oh sorry about that, stage recovery, which means it is pretty long by default, so they've clipped it inside, which is totally fine with me, except it does mess with the aerodynamics and looks, and it's not exactly that, and, well, just learning curve, I guess. I probably shouldn't have flown all the way up here with afterburners on, because of what I said earlier about, whoops, don't want to deploy those, with what I said earlier about the eventual center of mass, which, by the way, I'm finding it with the RCS build aid mod, which doesn't actually show up on the sidebar, sorry about that, but it basically shows you where the center of mass is, as normal, and then where it'll be once the fuel is drained, as well as how your RCS thrusters and stuff are affecting how your plane or ship moves. Like, if the thrust is balanced on all axes or not. But what I do find pleasant about this is it's surprisingly easy to fly, even though the center of mass issues and clipping and everything, it's still really easy and actually quite enjoyable to fly, especially compared with the first one. Like, the first and second ones were just a little bit too twitchy for my liking, but this is actually really enjoyable. One thing I'm noticing is there are parachutes on here, which also leads me to believe Valk isn't exactly experienced. But, like, that's fine. Still learning, and parachutes are important for some scenarios. Like, if you're out of control, a wing snapped off, or you're just not good at landing. And honestly, I was guilty of that in my early days too. Like, for example, when I built my first splicer, which is my favorite aircraft design, like how there are more, you know what I mean, like Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, Mark 4, etc. Just evolution, basically. Well, the first one looked really bad. There was all sorts of weird stuff going on with the nose, and it had like 10 parachutes on it, all radials. It messed with the aerodynamics and everything, and it was nigh unflyable. And assuming, even if you're not new to this game, this is a really good plane. I don't want to sound like I'm being overly, like, I don't want to sound mean or anything. It is a good plane. I'm just pointing out a few things you could improve. And I really like that he used the, finish line at 319. I really like that you used the, what are these even called? I never use them. The XMG50, whatever, radial air intakes. They're not often used because of their form and, well, the fact that they're literally the farthest part down on the list. So, yeah, I like that you used them and used them well. Normally I'd have just used, what's it called? The structural intakes, adjustable ramp intakes, which are not adjustable, by the way, squad. Just saying that. And I'd have put them here, but these work really well, especially for this plane's purpose. Now, I should probably land before the center of mass gets really mad at me. In fact, I'll use the parachutes. let's see how that goes. Like, it's not bad to use chutes, it's just like a kind of beginner thing, and as I said, they can come in handy. Especially, oh, that might be a reason why he did that. Like, he might have known that the center of mass was gonna freak out, and either put the parachutes there because of that, or put the center of, like, or adjusted the center of mass, or the eventual center of mass, for that. Like, put parachutes there and made it so the, whoops, I'll show you in the VAB, just a sec. SPH. Wow, loading screens. Okay, like, he might have put the eventual center of mass behind the center of lift, which is honestly relatively hard to control, and it's actually most important in VTOLs. He might have put that there so that when the parachutes deploy, it just goes down and the center of lift helps balance it on its way down, because I did notice I destroyed the nose on landing. So, yeah, that's all for this week, and I'll see you next week. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, whatever, and Fireheart318, out.